And whenever you're ready, very gently open your eyes. So the session today is about parts of self. Uh, so let me start with sharing not a, a small incident. So there is this girl, very, very pretty, really pretty. But she has a very tiny spot on her face, very tiny. It's actually, you can't even see it. So almost everybody who comes to see her or who meets her say, "Oh, you're really pretty, but you have this tiny spot on your face." So when she's looking into the mirror, what does she see? A part of herself, which is that tiny little dot, and also this pretty face, which means she needs to accept both parts, this tiny dot, the tiny spot, as well as the rest of the face. But what does she keep doing? She keeps rejecting this pretty face of herself, and she's only focusing on that tiny spot. She keeps telling herself, "Oh, I have this tiny spot on my face." Similarly, we have various parts of different parts of ourselves. So long as we accept all of these parts of ourselves, that's when we feel whole and complete. We have a zillion parts of ourselves. So let's explore what are these parts of ourselves. Okay. So I want you to write down certain statements. Write 5 sentences, which would be, "I can't." Start your statement with "I can't." Why are we doing this exercise? We are doing this exercise to identify parts of ourselves. So 5 sentences with "I can't." And the sentence could be anything, doesn't matter. So take a moment either to think or to write down. If you don't have a paper and pen, write it on your phone.
Give an example, please, Geeta.
Yes. So the example could be, I can't run, or I can't play a sport like football, or I can't speak confidently, or I can't anything, or I can't read. I can't read books every day, or I can't gym. The answer could be anything. So why are we doing this exercise? To understand what are the different parts of ourselves that we are either criticizing, disliking, or rejecting. How do we get to know these parts of ourselves? So this is a small exercise that we're doing to understand these parts of ourselves, just like the story. Once you've written that, write down, "I don't like myself because." Again, 5 sentences. Keep taking deep breaths. And each time you're writing, become aware that you're rejecting some part of yourself. And now write down, "I was labeled as." Again, 5 sentences.
Can you repeat what you said the last?
I was labeled as. So first was "I can't." Second was I don't like myself because. And the third was "I was labeled as." Don't use your judgments. Allow your thoughts to flow freely. Once you've done that, take a look at what you've written. Out of what you've written, see, is there anything that you've been rejecting about yourself? Just notice it. And now let's do another activity, which is I'm going to take my left hand and right hand as parts of myself. So which means I am this and I am that. So the same story that I spoke some 15 minutes back, which is this girl saying, yes, I am pretty. And I also have this little spot. So which means I could be lazy. I am lazy, but I'm also active. Whatever you want, like you can say, I'm this and I'm also that. Whether the parts are contrasting, whether the parts of ourselves are anything. It could be A, B, C, D, doesn't matter what. I could be this and I'm also that. Each part of me is precious and beautiful. Whether it's ugly or beautiful, doesn't matter. Whether it's good or bad, doesn't matter. That's still a part of me. Whether it is to do with the past, present, or future, doesn't matter. Whether I was successful, whether I was a failure. So close your eyes and imagine you're doing this for yourself with two hands. I am this and I'm also that. So just do this by yourself for about five things with respect to I am this and I'm also that. And say it out aloud. Keep taking deep breaths while you're doing this. And when you've done that, put both your hands on your heart, on your chest. The both left and the right, which is I am this and I'm also that. Put both your hands in your chest and say to yourself, I love both these parts of myself. I love all these parts of myself. They belong to me and they are beautiful. Each part of me is precious. They belong to me and I value each part of myself. Do this for yourself and do it for 3 times.
Could you please repeat, Geeta?
Yes. Put both your hands, like what you did was, I am this and I am that. So put both your hands on your chest and say to yourself, I love all these parts of myself. And again, take a deep breath and say it again. All parts of me are beautiful. And I love all parts of me. They belong to me. I love all these parts of myself. They belong to me. And genuinely feel it. No matter how much you're criticizing a particular part of yourself, you can still love that part of yourself. That's still a precious part of your own self. Once you've done that, take a sheet of paper and draw. Draw these parts that probably you're rejecting or disliking or criticizing. Just draw randomly. And when you draw, The drawing is not important. It's a representation of what the part that you're carrying for yourself. So for instance, if I feel I'm lazy and that's the part I'm criticizing for myself, I shall draw the lazy part of me. So whichever part you wish to draw, draw. Once you've drawn, write down a few sentences. Look at the drawing that you've drawn and write down a few sentences for this part of yourself. Maybe you want to say something to this part of yourself. We'll take another minute to finish whatever you want to draw or write. Okay. So we can never selectively reject a part of ourselves. When we do that, we are rejecting whole of ourselves. So even if there is one part of you that you're criticizing, you're actually criticizing whole of yourself. Just like the story that I shared. This girl had this tiny little spot and her face was really pretty, but what was she doing? She was rejecting that tiny part of herself, which means she was rejecting the whole of herself. So become aware each time you're either criticizing, disliking, or rejecting a tiny part of yourself, you're actually rejecting whole of yourself. So how to understand this concept? Imagine you're drawing a garden. So first, let's say you're drawing a garden, drawing 5 flowers of different colors. So just draw 5 flowers, simply just draw 5 flowers and name it different colors, red, blue, green, whatever, orange, purple, and draw a garden with, just leaves and stuff. And now see how pretty your garden looks. So a garden has different colors of flowers, different flowers of different colors, which is why the garden is pretty. So be the garden where different flowers bloom with joy. Tell yourself, I am the garden which has different flowers that bloom with joy. Now let me tell you a small little story once again. So the story of the rose and cactus. So the story goes where both were in a garden and they were next to each other, and the rose was very sad and the cactus was always happy. So the rose, why was the rose sad? Because it had thorns. And it used to keep wondering, why is the cactus so happy? I am pretty and I have thorns and I'm yet sad, and the cactus is so happy. Why is it like this? So he noticed that there was a bird that was coming and having water from the beak, from the cactus. And then it realized that it's okay to have thorns. So a rose cannot be a rose without the thorns. A rose is a rose just because of the thorns. You cannot say give me a rose without thorns. The beauty of the rose is because it has thorns. The beauty of you or me is because I have certain imperfections and perfections put together. They come as a package. A fish is a fish because it can swim and not fly. A bird is a bird because it can fly and not swim. So we are who we are because of this and because of that. So we need to learn to accept both this and that. So can you tell yourself, I accept both this and that all the time? Each time you're criticizing yourself, can you just do that? So I may not be perfect, but all parts of me are pretty awesome. Yeah, the rose can tell itself, yes, I'm not perfect, but with my thorns, I'm pretty awesome. The girl in the beginning of the story can tell herself, yes, parts of me are not perfect, but all of me is awesome. So anybody who has to share or has some questions, because I don't know how this topic is. For me, this topic is really important because each time we discover a part of, and as humans, we do tend to criticize ourselves, whether it's ourselves or somebody else. We do tend to label ourselves or somebody else. Can we step back and remind ourselves, I love each part of me, no matter what? Yeah. So yeah, that was the session today. So I would like to hear from you all. How did it? Any questions or any sharings?